What if I told you there's a secret rule, a simple little shortcut that can turn the tables in a high-stakes game and make you look like an absolute genius? Well, today we are diving into one of those rules. It's called the Rule of 9, and its power is hidden in, of all places, a game of cards. So picture this. We're at the Bridge and Biscotti Club. You can smell the lavender hand cream in the air, and the tension is so thick you could probably spread it on a biscotti. This is not just a friendly game. This is a full-on battle of wits.
Let's meet our players, shall we? First, you've got Timmy. He's the strategist, and you can just see it in his eyes. He thinks he's already got this in the bag.
Then there's his partner, Andrew. Now, Andrew's primary focus? Let's just say he's more concerned about whether the biscotti are almond or anise flavored.
And sitting across from them, we have Uncle George. He's the veteran, he's seen it all, he's not easily impressed, and he plays with this quiet, fierce intensity. And finally, our hero of the story, Aunt Mildred. She seems all unassuming, sipping her chamomile tea. But today, oh today, she is about to make the play of the entire match.
Okay, so the bidding starts out pretty normal, but then Uncle George throws down a double. Now, in bridge, that is a huge move. It's basically him shouting across the table to his partner, Aunt Mildred, "Hey, I've got a fantastic hand. You need to bid something."
It's the classic question, right? Pass or bid? It's one of the most common dilemmas in the game, and sometimes the stakes are incredibly high. The auction is heating up. Your opponents have found their suit, and bam, the decision lands on you. So what's the right call?
Let's paint a picture. Your side has been pretty quiet. Then, all of a sudden, your partner roars back to life with a reopening double. You look down at your hand and you're holding a few of their trump cards. You just know, your next call could make or break the entire hand. This is that pressure moment we're talking about.
So how do you handle a moment like that? Well, guess what? There's a fantastic tool designed for exactly this situation. It's called the Rule of 9, and it's all about turning that gut-wrenching guess into a cool, calculated, and confident decision.
So what is this thing exactly? The Rule of 9 is a simple guideline, and you only use it in one very specific spot, after your partner makes a reopening double. That's when the opponent's bid was about to be passed out and your partner jumps in. The rule's only job is to help you decide one thing. Can we actually beat their contract and get a penalty?
And listen, this isn't just some random theory somebody cooked up. It was popularized by the bridge expert Mel Colchimiro. And let me tell you, what makes this so powerful is its success rate. We are definitely not talking about a 50-50 coin flip here.
Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking an 85 to 90% success rate on those really tricky, borderline decisions. That is a remarkably reliable tool to have in your back pocket when the pressure is on.
Okay, so how does it actually work? Let's break down the calculation, and you'll be surprised at just how simple this is. It's something you can do in just a few seconds right there at the table. It's just 3 little numbers you need to find. First up, the level of the opponent's contract. So, if they bid 2 spades, the level is 2. Second, you just count the number of cards you're holding in their trump suit. And third, count the number of honors you have in that same suit. Then, you just add them all together. Simple as that.
Okay, and this part is absolutely crucial. When we say honors, we are only talking about the honors in the opponent's trump suit. Nothing else in your hand counts for this. Normally, we mean the ace, king, queen, and jack. Now, some partnerships agree to count the 10 as an honor too, but that's something you definitely need to discuss with your partner beforehand.
All right, so you've got your number. Now what? Well, here's the magic part. If your total is 9 or more, you pass. You're telling your partner, yep, I think we can beat these guys. Why? Because a number that high suggests you have enough trump control to stop them from running their suit. But if your total is 8 or less, you bid your own best suit, which tells your partner you probably don't have enough defensive strength.
All right, enough with the theory. That all sounds good, but let's see this thing in action. We're going to walk through a couple of examples to see just how this works in practice.
Okay, first hand. Imagine this. The opponents are in 2 hearts. Your partner makes that reopening double, and you're sitting there looking at a nice little holding of 5 hearts, including the king and the jack. So, what's the call?
Let's run the numbers, shall we? The contract level is 2. You have 5 hearts, so that's another 5. And you've got 2 honors, the king and the jack. Add it all up. 2 plus 5 plus 2 equals 9. The rule is crystal clear here. You pass for penalty. All right, let's try another one. The opponents bid 2 spades, and again, partner doubles. This time, though, your hand is 4 spades to the queen-jack. Same process, but are we going to get the same result? Let's do the math. The level is 2, your trump length is 4, and you have 2 honors, the queen and jack. So 2 plus 4 plus 2 gives us a total of 8. Since that's less than 9, the rule says it's time to bid your best suit. You likely don't have the defensive power to pass this one.
Okay, so you've got the basics down pat. But to really master this, we need to talk about a few of the nuances and some of the common traps that people fall into. Getting these details right is what makes this rule so effective. Now, listen up, because this is the #1 mistake people make. It is so tempting to look at your hand, see all those lovely honors in your other suits, and want to add them in. But you can't. For the rule of 9, those side suit honors are completely irrelevant. You have to force yourself to only count the honors in the opponent's trump suit.
And, another huge factor you have to consider is vulnerability. When you're vulnerable, everything gets amplified, doesn't it? The penalties for going down are way higher, but so are the rewards for making your own contract. So naturally, you need to be a little more conservative when you decide to pass for penalty.
So what does that mean in practice? Well, it means you need to raise your standards a bit. When you're vulnerable, you're not passing with a total of 9 anymore. Most experts recommend you wait until your total is 10 or even more. It's just a simple adjustment that helps you manage all that extra risk.
And hey, a couple of other quick things to watch out for. First, don't just turn your brain off and follow the rule blindly. It's a powerful guideline, not a magic wand. And remember, it's designed only for reopening doubles. Don't go using it on every single double you see in an auction.
All right, let's boil all of this down and wrap things up with the most important points you need to remember from this explainer.
Think of this as your final checklist. First things first, is it actually a reopening double? If not, the rule's out. Then, the formula. Remember it? Level, plus trump length, plus trump honors. The magic number is 9. 9 or more, you pass. 8 or less, you bid. And remember, only count the honors in their trump suit. And ask yourself, am I vulnerable? If the answer is yes, bump that threshold up to 10. And finally, always remember, it's an amazing guideline, but your overall bridge judgment is still king.
And that's the rule of 9. It's a simple, super effective tool that can bring a ton of confidence to a really tough part of the game.
Suddenly, all eyes are on Mildred. The whole table just holds its breath. Does she bid a new suit, or does he trust George and pass, hoping they can crush their opponent's contract for big points? The pressure is on.
But here's the thing. Mildred doesn't even flinch. She doesn't panic. She calmly reaches for a tool she keeps tucked away, not in her purse but in her mind, a secret weapon she has for this exact moment.
And this is it, the rule of 9. It's this beautifully simple heuristic, a mental shortcut, designed to take this incredibly complicated, high-pressure decision and make it easy. All right, let's do the math from Mildred's hand right now. Her opponents are trying to win a contract of 2 spades, and if you look at her hand, she's holding 4 spades, and one of them is the jack.
Okay, first number, the contract level. They bid 2 spades, so our first number is a nice, simple 2. Easy enough.
Next up, we add the number of spades in her hand. We just saw she has 4 of them, so we add a 4 to our running total. We're at 6.
And finally, the number of honors she's got in spades. She has the jack. In bridge, that counts as 1 honor, so we add 1.
So let's see, 2 plus 4 plus 1, that equals 7. Now here's the rule itself. If your total is 9 or more, you pass. You've got the goods to beat them. But if your total is less than 9, you're too weak to defend, and you need to bid your own suit instead. Mildred's score is 7. The rule is practically screaming at her, bid.
The path forward is crystal clear. So with this calm confidence that only comes from trusting the numbers, Mildred glances at her hand, finds her best suit, and makes her bid, 3 clubs. And the table just goes silent. Andrew literally chokes on a biscotti crumb. Timmy, Mr. Strategist over there, just nods slowly. You can see the gears turning as he realizes what she did. And Uncle George, he gives a single, solemn thumbs up, which, coming from him, is basically a standing ovation.
And it turns out she made the right call. She went on to make her contract and win the game.
Was that just a lucky guess, a fluke, or is there some real honest-to-goodness math behind this little magic trick?
Well, it turns out the rule of 9 isn't just some old card player folklore. It has a ridiculously high success rate. We're talking 85 to 90% of the time, it guides players to the right decision. This is not guesswork, people. This is a shortcut that is seriously grounded in probability.
So why does it work so darn well? It's because it's a powerful heuristic. It's a quick and dirty way to estimate your defensive strength by balancing how high the stakes are, that's the contract level, against how much control you have over their trump suit. It's actually a super practical way to apply a deeper bridge theory called the law of total tricks, which is all about predicting outcomes.
Which really brings us to the moral of this whole story. When in doubt, just count your cards, respect your honors, and absolutely never ever underestimate someone who has a good rulebook, even if it's just in their head.
And that's really the big idea here. These simple rules, these heuristics, they're not just for card games. They are mental shortcuts that help all of us deal with really complex systems and make smart decisions when we're under pressure. We use them all the time, whether we're at a card table, in a board meeting, or just trying to figure out what to make for dinner.
It's just proof that sometimes the simplest answer really is the smartest one. Which kind of leaves me with a question for you. What are the rules of 9 in your world? What simple, reliable rules of thumb could you use to navigate the complex decisions you have to face every single day?
And this is where it gets really interesting. There's this simple, almost mathematical rule that points to one obvious move. But an expert player at the table, he feels like something's not quite right. So who do you trust? The formula or your own hard-won judgment?
All right, let's dive in and meet the people around the table. We've got George and his wife Mildred's, and they're up against their opponents, Andrew and Timmy. The hand is already underway, and you could just feel the pressure building.
Okay, here are the cards. Now I want you to really zero in on George's hand, sitting there in the north position. It's fine, you know? It's not amazing. He's got a couple of kings, which is nice, but his other suits are pretty weak. This hand right here is the star of our show.
So, the bidding starts. Players are basically sending coded messages about their hands. Mildred's, George's partner, opens with spades. Andrew, from the other team, jumps in with clubs. George, he passes for now. But then, Mildred's makes a really bold move. She says, double. In bridge, that's like saying, I dare you, I think you're going to fail, and I want to raise the stakes.
And just like that, the spotlight swings directly onto George. His partner has just thrown down the gauntlet. Now he has a choice. He can pass, which means he trusts his partner's dare, or he can bid something new and totally change the course of the game. What's the right play?
Well, you know, for situations exactly like this, bridge players have a little tool in their toolbox. It's a handy guideline, a shortcut, called the Rule of 9. And it's designed to give you a clear, numbers-based answer right now.
So think of the rule of 9 as a quick and dirty calculator. Its whole job is to help you figure out if your hand is strong enough to help your partner win on defense, or if you should just, run for cover and try to play the hand in a different suit.
Let's do the math together. It's pretty simple. You take 3 numbers. First, the level of the contract they're trying to make. In this case, that's a 2. Next, you count how many cards you have in their chosen suit. George has 4 clubs. And finally, you count your high-value cards in that suit. George has just 1, the king.
You add them up. 2 plus 4 plus 1, and you get 7. Okay, a simple, clean number. But what on earth does it mean?
So here's the deal with that number 7. The rule is crystal clear. If your total is 9 or more, you should pass. Let the penalty happen. But if it's 8 or less, and hey, we got a 7, the rule says you should bid a new suit. The book says George's hand is too weak for defense. He should compete. The answer seems obvious. Bid.
Right, so case closed. He should bid. But, hold on. If the answer is so simple, why are we even talking about this? Because George is a pro and he knows that sometimes these simple rules can be a trap. He sees something more, something beyond the numbers.
See, here's the thing you got to remember about the rule of 9. It's a blunt instrument. It's got major blind spots. It only looks at the club suit. It completely ignores everything else in George's hand, how good or bad his other suits are, and, this is crucial, it ignores the powerful message his partner just sent. It's not seeing the whole picture.
And here is the real kicker. The rule is yelling bid. But what would he even bid?
His hearts? His diamonds? They're both pretty junky 4-card suits. Making a bid with one of those would be a massive, massive gamble. It could make things so much worse.
This table just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's like his head and his gut are in a total tug of war. On one side, you've got the simple rule, flashing a big green light that says bid. But on the other side, you've got the messy reality. His hand is weak, he has no safe place to run, and his partner is basically screaming, "Let's get him." The rule says bidding is safe, but reality says it's anything but.
So this is it, the moment of truth. The rulebook is on one shoulder, whispering bid. Years of experience are on the other, saying, wait a minute, what's he gonna do?
He passes. He completely ignores the clear instruction from the rule of 9 and decides to trust the bigger picture instead.
And his reasoning here is just brilliant. He realizes that if he makes a bid, he's introducing his own weakness into the game. So instead, he chooses to back his partner's strength. He's not playing for himself, he's playing for the team. And the result? Oh, it was absolutely the right call. The other team went ahead and played their contract in clubs, and they failed by 2 tricks. And because of Mildred's double, that failure turned into a massive 300-point score for them. What a win.
So what's the big lesson here? I mean, this is about more than just a card game, right? This is a masterclass in strategic thinking.
This really gets to the heart of it all. Rules and shortcuts, like the rule of 9, are great. They're super useful. They can get you most of the way there. But that last little bit, that's where true expertise comes in. It's knowing when that handy shortcut is actually leading you right off a cliff. In the end, George didn't just play his cards. He played the table. He played his partner. He considered the context of every bid, the trust he had in Mildred's, and he looked at the whole complete picture of his hand, not just the one tiny part the rule cared about.
And you know, by using this rule, you're not just getting one hand right. You're actually applying the same kind of logic that the experts use for this common, and let's be honest, often confusing problem. It's a real step up in your game.
The big takeaway here is that sometimes really simple rules can solve incredibly complex problems. The rule of 9 gives you this huge edge in one specific tricky situation. And that kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other tough bidding guesses out there could you turn into confident, simple calculations? And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. We all have rules of thumb, best practices, SOPs we're supposed to follow. But as George just showed us, sometimes the absolute best, most winning move is the one that's not in the book. So you have to ask yourself, when is it your time to make the expert pass?
Subscribe our channel for more videos.